Good morning. That was really good, but we're going to do another one. Good morning. All right, so let's just clap it up. Let's put some energy in the room. Let's loosen up just a little bit. Today is a very auspicious day. I'm so excited to be here. I want to start off by introducing myself. My name is Sharnae Brown, and I am the Chief Education Officer out of the Mayor's office. And simply what that is, I am the person that manages the Mayor's educational initiatives. We know that literacy is something that's extremely important, but actually the Mayor's Book Club was something that started maybe around 6 years ago, maybe 5. I apologize if I'm off 1 year. But basically it was a way for the mayor to kind of like have the Oprah's Book Club, in a sense, in Newark. The mayor will pick a book that he deems awesome and will spark critical thinking and great conversation. And whatever grade level that's deemed ready to read that will read it and engage the mayor in a wonderful conversation. As literacy is now a major focus after the mayor created a brain trust, it's really important to get our young people reading as often as possible and definitely reading quality literature. It is so awesome, and I just want to say the piece that we're talking about today is definitely quality literature. I just want to take the time to celebrate the student authors who wrote this book. Let's give it up for them. They're behind me. You guys are super lucky because this is a book, and I know sometimes we underestimate our peers, but I think that this book in certain ways is definitely impactful now, but I think we're looking at the world's writers, the next leaders and writers of our generation. And the great thing that you'll be able to say is, I went to school with that person that's sitting up here. And so today we are going to be talking about We Were Once Strangers, and definitely we just want to also celebrate the teacher that had this vision and engaged in Newark in this entire process to find the best authors. So I want us to give it up for your teacher, Sean Adler. But I have to pay homage to the leader of this building, your principal, who's holding it down, Principal Gerhardt. Thank you so much. And the person who is a teacher by trade, who loves this more than you know. He's actually bivocational. I still consider him an educator because that was his first trade. But he once was a teacher, a vice principal, a principal, and now he's our esteemed mayor who gets a great kick out of this. Can we all give a round of applause to Mayor Ras J. Baraka? Before we engage in this great conversation, because I know that's why you're here, I do want to give your teacher, Sean Adler, just a brief opportunity to give the context of this book. And as soon as he's done, we're going to put it in your hands, Mayor Baraka. Okay, let's welcome again, Sean Adler.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today for this incredible event with Mayor Ras Baraka. You know, they asked me to talk about the impetus of this book, where this book came from, the ideas of this project. You want me to use the microphone? Where this book came from. Most of what I wrote about in the introduction of the book speaks to the impetus for this project, how immigration stories are necessary, how telling our stories is necessary in a world where we are told that we are important, seizing that power from the world and taking control of our own lives. None of us could have ever predicted what would happen after the book was published. None of us could have ever predicted how much more necessary these stories are today than ever before. I think a good book is an empathy machine. And boy, do we need that empathy today more than ever. In a world where brutes have risen to power, We need to say, no, we are here, we are important, and we are not leaving. I think at the end of the day, this is why this project has become so important, and why this project has become, in many ways, more important than ever. Because to a world, to a country that is afraid, to a people that don't know what to do next, we say, listen, although I'm not from the same place that you are from, I think like you. Although we've never met, I feel the same things that you are feeling. You are not alone. And I think that's the power of this project, and why when we are celebrated and recognized, that feeling of being heard and not being alone is more important than ever. Now is the time to fight, and now is the time to love. And I want to hand off in a celebration of that love. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. You guys look great, by the way. It's good to be here at Science High, Science Park. Appreciate you guys for allowing me to be here. Your principal, Dr. Gearhart, I know her from a long time ago. All of the folks, I used to be in Newark Public Schools, used to be, she said, an educator. Ended my career as a principal at Central High, not too far from here. So this is very, very, I get to pick books. I mean, Dr. Brown, who dumps 50 books on me and say you have to pick one. I decided this one, because I for two reasons. One, we were reading a book called Warmth of Other Suns first. Before we did this book, this Warmth of Other Suns is an incredible book. If you get a chance to read that, you should in your own time. It's really the story about folks who migrated from the South, which is the same, migrated from the South to the northern part of the United States, after slavery. It's a whole group of stories from collections of folks who were going through different things. And this is, to me, similar, and it's about Newark, so it was that much more interesting to me because it's about Newark, obviously, and you kids are from Newark, and your families are from Newark, via other places, but you from Newark to me. So at the end of the day, and the stories were very, very, very compelling. So I appreciate the time and the effort and energy and passion that you put in these stories. So I would like people to introduce themselves first. I don't know I don't know you personally. I might know, I remember your name from the book, but I would like you guys to introduce yourselves and tell me where you're from, and very briefly, the story you wrote about, right? We can start this.
Hello all, my name is Rafaela Cura. My family's from Brazil. I'm a first-generation American, and my story stems more from my name, a name that really isn't common here in the U.S., and I struggled really internally to come to terms with it. And in my story, I speak about how my name was meant to be Sarah, and how for a long time I dreamt of my name being Sarah. But through living in Newark and through experiencing my culture in Newark, I learned to absolutely love my name.
Hi, my name is Rania Elshayer, and I'm from Palestine, and my story talks about how my family struggled as refugees from Palestine into Egypt and how far they've come.
Hi, my name is Melody Sanchez, and I'm from Ecuador in Spain, and my story talks about how my mother and I struggled after a car crash due to our immigration status and the way it impacted my life throughout my time in America.
Hi, my name is Treasure Poole. I'm from Haiti. My story mainly focuses on my journey here, not my journey here so much, but the experiences and kind of the trauma I faced while I was here and how I overcame that as a child.
Hi, my name is Victoria Teixeira. My story is from Brazil, and it talks about how the challenges my mother faced coming to America and how much that impacted me in my life and how I became kind of an image for her.
Hi, my name is John Oriundo. I'm from Peru, and my story talks about the hardship and struggles my family went through crossing the border to the United States.
Hello, my name is Yewande Hamzat, and my story was about me coming from a family of Nigerian immigrants and me learning to deal with ostracization and learning to appreciate my history in Nigeria while also being incorporated into American society.
My name is John Salazar. I am from Dominican Republic, and my story is based on adapting to a new place that doesn't feel nowhere like home. It basically felt like being on a different planet.
Hi, my name is Jaylene Gonzalez. I'm Puerto Rican, and my story was about me and my grandma's relationship torn from her past as someone who migrated from Puerto Rico.
Hi, my name is William Shiloh. I'm a first-gen American, and my story is about how I took things for granted, from how I really I want to be honest, I was like spoiled here. I really took it for granted until I really saw the backstory my dad really had back in Guatemala.
Hi, my name is Ashley. My family's from Ecuador. My story talks about my mother and the sacrifices she made on her way here and the dreams she has for me.
Hi, my name is Ruby Arana. I'm from Ecuador, and my story focuses on the struggles of being asked to pack your whole life in a suitcase to immigrate into a whole new country.
Hi, my name is Kiswan Sida, and my story is about how when I first came here, people weren't adapted to my culture, so they didn't know anything about it, and they treated me a little bit differently.
Good. So, well, thank you guys for sharing. I mean, not everybody has the courage to share their stories this way. So I appreciate it. And hopefully things have got clearer for you in terms of the things that I've read in this book. There was one gentleman, he's not up here, I guess the guy who's Jamaican and Liberian at the same time. Is he out in the audience? I don't know. Yeah, he's not. But that story touched me, and your story about your name, because I went through that with my name growing up as a kid in Newark. My name Baraka, nobody knew what that was or where that was from. So, I had to go through these things as well. I'd like to ask you a few questions. One, how do you feel about what's happening now in this country as it relates to your stories?
I feel like our current climate around immigration is very discouraging. Considering what I've read in this story, what I've read with these stories, what I've personally experienced, I feel the narrative around immigration has become so polluted with negative imagery, and it has just this connotation attached to it that coming to America should be this barred off opportunity that not everybody is able to access. And I feel like, just judging off of these stories and my own experience, I feel like it shouldn't be treated as such like a high regard, or it shouldn't be as gate-kept as it is now. I think the current political climate discouraging immigration I think it's dehumanizing. I think that seeing our experiences and sharing our experiences like this has made me realize the immigration to America has made so much of our lives better, has given us the opportunity to make ways for ourselves that we wouldn't have been able to achieve in our home countries. And to have that taken away from us simply because of prejudice or due to assumed inferiority of other people, I think it's bizarre. And I don't agree with any of the policies that are being enacted right now to de-enforce immigration.
Adding on, I totally agree with how you said that we are being dehumanized. Like, I think it highlights the importance of a book like this because it brings stories to light and it shows that we are just people like anyone else. Because what goes around in the media is very, unsensitive, and at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense because of this idea of the American dream that they teach in schools. Like, we just read The Great Gatsby around the American dream. So everyone, even from the white man, is chasing this American dream. So why is it so closed off to people that are different?
Anybody? No? You good? Nobody else? So something about your story. You want to say something? No. About your story that you think you wanted people to get from reading it. What did you think was the most important thing about what you wrote? And how do you want people to see you or see that story?
I say this for my story and many others, that for my story, what I wanted people to get was that there's always possibilities at the end of the tunnel. There's always something that you can get out of. Even if you have a hard time at the start, you can always get something better in the end. It's not all about how, oh, this is hard at the start, this might not be easy, but in the end, everything normally will get better, and if not, you just have to keep going because you will find something better in the end.
So give us an example of that from what you wrote.
From when I wrote, I had a hard time when I was having education here, since at the start of my path in education, I was labeled off as having problems, and at the same time, my instructors didn't really want to deal with me. So there was this like bad experience I had, which is kind of hard for me to talk about right now, my bad. It's that I got locked up in a room. They called it meditation, but I was just locked in a dark room as a little kid, since they didn't want to have anything to do with me. So it was pretty hard to deal with all that, but in the end, I managed to get into a better school that saw me for me, and they just helped out with absolutely everything. They were there, and they were like basically a second family.
That's great. Anybody else? Come on.
I feel like when I wrote my story, I honestly just wanted to bring light to the fact that there are other people like me out there. And I wrote about how my immigration status always made me feel like I was in the shadows of everyone, and how everyone was just, they had access to so many opportunities being an American citizen. And I wanted people to be able to understand that they weren't alone, like people like me, that they weren't alone, that there were other people out there who struggled in the same way that they did. And I just wanted to bring awareness to the situation, and I wanted people to know that they weren't alone in their stories.
Well, for my story, it's kind of like the opposite of John. I was trying to show the perspective from someone who didn't have the same support, and that coming to this country could be very lonely. You might not have anyone to turn to. In my story, like, I lived with my grandmother and my mother, and both of them were so busy trying to make ends meet that I felt like I didn't have any place here compared to when I lived back in Haiti. And then, you know, the school system didn't help very much. They didn't really have that much for like students who didn't speak English at the time. So I kind of wanted to show like what the other perspective is for someone, you know, who did struggle. And, you know, it wasn't really a happy ending at the end. You know, you just had to pursue and move on.
Anybody else? I'm gonna start calling you guys. You know that, right? I'm not gonna let you sit up here like this. Somebody else wanna talk about their story? Yes.
In my story, I really wanted to focus on the fact that a lot of people think when people immigrate to America that things are automatically better, when in reality, though things may physically be better, you never forget what happened to you when you were back home or where you come from. You never forget why you came here. And in the end, like with me and my grandma specifically, me and her relationship was semi-torn at the time that I wrote this story, because I felt like she was really struggling with what she had went through back home, and I felt like through us growing and changing, it kind of helped. But at the end of the day, no matter where you go or how you escape, you never get to go away from what happened to you.
What I wanted to show through my story was the sacrifices people make on coming here, like the journey itself, what you leave behind, and what like small hope you have for the future. Like you're grasping that small chance of having something better and making something better for yourself and your family. And you're basing that whole journey, leaving your family behind, what you already have, all for that small chance for a better future for yourself and others. And like focus on the experience that people go through on their journey itself.
You know I can't read none of this, right? Anybody want to talk about the journey? I think that's important. Anybody want to talk about the journey that was mentioned, like what your family had to go through to get you to this point here? I think it's worth remembering.
In my story that I wrote, I had a family, a very close family of mine, on my father's side, coming from Peru, and on their journey to the United States, I tragically lost my uncle crossing the border, and that experience really impacted my family here at home, because that uncle was very close to my father, and I got to see firsthand how lost through immigration and trying to pursue a life here in the United States could really impact someone, and losing someone, and that journey should be shared with everybody, because everybody has a story behind them, and everybody deserves to know the story behind their family and what someone goes through to come to the United States, and how hard it is to lose someone for something that they don't deserve. You know. That is my story.
Okay, for my story, it focuses on my mom. She was a teen mom in Ecuador. She left behind my eldest sister behind when she traveled to America. And she described to me how she would walk through the desert and she would see people falling behind or being like left behind, dead on the floor. But she would also mention how in the river, because at some point they had to cross the river, she had to decide whether to tie around herself a tire or bottles of water, but where people were like clinging on and like trying to go against the riptide. And she described how she almost like let go of the bottle she had like around her with the tire, and like she almost let the river take her and like accept death. But she also mentioned how other people were also grabbing onto her, telling her to not let go, and that she was almost there. And yeah.
Wow. Wow. Anybody else want to share? No? So if you had the authority, the power to change anything about the experience your family went through, or any policy today, what would it be? Or maybe you wouldn't change anything. Yes.
I actually would have never ended up back in Haiti if they didn't make it so hard here for my mother and my grandmother to get work, because my mother was an American citizen, but my grandmother was not. And my mother was a teen mom, so my mom was trying to support me and my grandmother was trying to support her, so they couldn't afford to raise me here. So I got sent to live with my aunt and uncles in Haiti for 5 years. And I just feel like if they gave immigrants, an easier time getting American status or getting jobs even, I would have never been sent there in the first place. I had to struggle adapting to American culture because I would have been born into it. So I just wish that it was easier for people to adapt to this country and they gave people more opportunities to do that.
So my mom got her green card, which I'm so happy about. But what I would change was how, like I said before, how long it takes for people to get to there. Like she fought for years going to court cases and all of that legal battle and like process to get to there. I would also change personally the image we immigrants have in coming here, how people paste this image of, oh, we're just going off welfare, or like we're getting like free stuff, free money going based off your taxes, or we're not paying taxes at all, when that's not true, and we pay a lot of taxes based on statistics online. I would want people to see like how much effort immigrants do to come here, and like how much they like try to like get there like onto that American dream. As said before, they have these aspirations for when coming here to get a better job, a better future for their children, not even just for themselves. They're thinking about mainly their children in coming here, or just like getting off the dirt floor and living somewhere better, even if it's in a small apartment. Many people who I've met are so grateful for where they are right now, even if it's just low class or middle class. They're so like thankful for what they did, and they give back so much to their families.
I agree wholeheartedly. I'd like to see a societal change, not along with that systemic change that you guys mentioned, because I feel like the image given to immigrants in this country is very demeaning. And I feel like what you mentioned with like not like living off of welfare or taking opportunities from like the original American citizens, I feel like that narrative I feel like it's disgusting, considering what everybody had to go through to get here, and especially with how the American dream is portrayed in our society and how it's supposed to be available to every person here. So to have like society continue to put out demeaning images of immigrants, to claim that they do not work as hard as their like white American citizens, to claim that they do not deserve the opportunities that are given to them, to assume that they're even given more opportunities than original American citizens themselves, is not only a bogus claim, but it's also false. I feel like there needs to be more societal support in place to support immigrants, as you mentioned, to give them a place to learn English, to have financial support to support their families, to be able to raise their children without the like struggle of whether or not they're going to be able to keep the lights on, able to feed their kids. And I feel like a large part of what I feel like America needs to change with in terms of their reception to immigrants is that acceptance is a two-way street. And if you want to have these people be incorporated as part of your society, to see them do well and to see them benefit from your society, you also have to put in the effort to accept them as well, and to accept that they might be bringing differences that you're not accustomed to, and to learn to accept those in stride, and to learn to incorporate them as part of your overall cultural narrative.
I couldn't have said that better. Anybody else? Some of you non-talkers. All right, go ahead.
I feel like something else that I would change when it came to just government policies about immigration, there's voting laws in which only American citizens can vote on, and throughout America they're consistently making new immigration laws about people who can't even have a voice to advocate against those laws because they're not allowed to vote. Like if you're not an American citizen, you can't participate in any sort of elections, and the laws reflect people who can't have the voice to talk about it.
Anything from Guatemala over there, brother? Go ahead.
Something that I would change is that, like how everyone has been saying, the broader image that that immigrants come here for a greater opportunity, better work, and to make sure that their children are set when they are born here. And yet, even like for example, even for my dad that I had in my story, he really worked hard. By the way, he works in window cleaning. So it's really hard and it's really scary to work every day, working on buildings, going down from the roof to the ground with like on a rope, and like making sure that rope doesn't break. And it's really scary because now that like this shows that a lot of immigrants they really work hard to like have their stay here, and yet we're still being discriminated here. We're still being dehumanized here, saying that we don't work as hard as them. And to be honest, my opinion, I feel like immigrants work harder than actual American citizens because we create everything here. And be honest, looking at this building, maybe immigrants made this building. They're making houses, they're making everything. And this goes to show that America needs immigrants, and America should like give the opportunity to these immigrants that they should get what they need to help and provide like all their children.
What about Palestine? You got something to say?
I would probably change how social media views Palestine, as we don't see what's going on right now, and we don't see how many families are being affected, which is why the genocide reoccurred from 1948 to right now, and it's still going on. I would also change how refugees, how they're given opportunities, as my family were denied any form of identification besides a refugee card in Egypt, and how other countries are involved without helping this genocide.
Oh, to build on to Will, I feel like a lot of people in the United States don't understand the circumstances of which immigrants come to the country in the first place. People aren't coming here just because they want more money or they want this. There's religious persecution. There's a lot of things that can happen in the country, whether it be genocide, sex trafficking. They can just feel unsafe in their country, and this is the place they see themselves coming to raise them and their family, in a safe environment. And I feel like a lot of people here who say, immigrants steal the jobs, and they're sitting around, they don't work. And it's not true. I feel like, quite frankly, immigrants are doing the jobs that American citizens think they're too good to do. The plumbing jobs, the stuff where you have to go in the sewers, go underground. Americans don't want to do those jobs. So who comes here and does it because they want better for their family? Immigrants. And then Americans want to almost complain in a way when they see someone who's trying to do better for themselves and they don't know the circumstances of which they came to the country in the first place. All right?
I feel like I also hate the idea that it's so easy to just become an American resident, to become an American citizen, and people think that the legal process is fast. Like, you are illegal because you choose to be illegal. You don't try to, do everything you have to do to become legal. But even in the end, you can spend months, you can spend years trying to get that green card, trying to get that social security number. And in the end, after all the money that you invested, after all the time that you invested, you could still get deported. They could still just say no, and you would just go back to the start.
I also wanted to add on to Yowande's topic. Girl, you are so well spoken. I'm so sorry I had to say that. I feel as though she touched on the topic of diversity, and I feel like it is so important for America to realize how diverse it truly is. And okay, we go to Science Park. If you look at the people in front of me, it's like a different face everywhere you look. And that is so extremely important to understand that we are all different. And not just because I'm from Brazil or she's from Palestine, that we don't work hard and we're different. Matter of fact, my father probably works 10 times harder for the fact that he has to pursue that opportunity that he doesn't have. He has to fight harder. And I agree with Treasure when she says that not all the jobs that we do, the Americans are willing to. And I feel as though Mr. Rincon here, wow, spectacular. The stories and just how motivating he is from a person that had to fight for the stance that he and his children are in is so empowering. So this is why I feel as though a place of diversity, which is the United States of America, should really put that as its forefront, which really just encapsulates the people within it.
All right now. All these SAT words y'all using up here. Throwing me off up here, SAT words. No, so just about yourself, I want to talk a little bit about you. How has your parents' journey and the things that you know impacted you as an individual in Newark? How has that impacted you as an individual, as a kid in Newark, trying to learn and make friends and all this other things that kids do?
It makes me extremely grateful for like even being here in this school. My mom traveled like that long journey just for me to get here, even if it wasn't at another school or just the place where I'm walking in, the steps I take in this city, in this state, country. She did all that just for me and get this opportunity and like grow and prosper from that.
I feel like it's such a struggle because of the fact that her and I both came into, my mom and I, we both came into this country and we knew no English. We knew like 2 people, and she had to find a way to build us both from the ground up. Like she had to find a way to get a job. I had to go to school and I had to learn English. I was 6 years old and I knew no English. I was in a whole different environment. I'd never been in a country like this. And she managed to figure out how to make ends meet, and she did it successfully. And now I'm in the place in which I am, and we're even in a place where I can go to college next year and become like a first gen in my family.
I mean, like, personally, my story is about, like, the people that my mom left behind. And I was born here, but I saw firsthand, like, how scared my mom was to go back to the life she used to live. As my parents never graduated high school. I'll be the first in my family to graduate high school. And it's kind of crazy to think about because, like, I'm handed this opportunity that my parents never got to have. And it's like coming to Science Park and I see people of all different cultures, people that are even from my culture, like Rafaela, she's Brazilian. And here we even have Portuguese class, and like I get to reconnect with my culture. Like now I truly get the sense of I am Brazilian because Mr. Laborio, I don't know if you guys know him, he's an amazing teacher, and I feel like I've learned so much from him. And I have like just, at least with writing, I've gotten like 100 times better. And now I like text my parents or my family in Brazil, and it's like so much easier now. And it's like this sense of gratitude because I don't feel like I would have gotten that anywhere else if my mom hadn't made those sacrifices she had done before.
Adding on to Victoria, I feel like my parents and their journey here and their struggles within this country put a very strong head on my shoulders, and I am forever grateful for that. And they instilled a sense of gratitude that what I have here, which is a lot like Will's story, where what I have here is nothing like what my parents have or had. So like my mom always tells me, you're better off here, because my parents like grew up very poor. Like my mom grew up in a farm, and the fact that I have what I have here is truly just to show like how far my parents have come, and it shows that like just keep pushing no matter what, and that's what I'm glad my parents instilled within me.
I think that me coming here and see my mom like struggling to work to get me where I am and where we are right now, made me feel like very sad because she has to leave. We had to leave like everything behind, like our home, our family, friends, and for me and many people as well. Where I was from in Africa, I think we were like at least middle class, if not upper class. When you come here, everything is like you start from the beginning. You're like the lowest class, and it's so sad. But like coming here and then like going through all the struggles that we've been through, I think that it shaped me to become like wanting like to imagine like a better future for myself and for my mom, and like it just makes me like want to do like so much just to like help other people as well who have been in the same situation as me.
I would say that personally, I really appreciate the sacrifices that my parents have made to bring me, to allow me to have all these new opportunities like in the US. For example, being able to go to college, and even though they are amazing, I would say that it is scary to be the first person in your family to, you know, go through applying to college, learning English. It's like so many new experiences. But it's like you're not only doing it for yourself, but also for them, for all their sacrifice, and as a way to thank them.
For me, it's instilled that I need to have more of a drive when it comes to while I'm being here that I need to work harder, I need to keep going, since my parents, for me to come here, my dad came here first a few years before me and my mom came here. So at the start, like before I was able to have like actual consciousness, I didn't really see my dad much since he was here working to try to create a path for us to come here. So the whole time while he was here, it would just be me and him through phone calls. This isn't really on my story in the book, but it was just phone calls. I would only hear his voice. And when I came here is when like I first met him, and it was just all like, when I came here, it was just gave me like a drive that I need to keep working, I need to work harder, since my parents didn't even get to see each other much because of the life that they were trying to give me.
I'd like to build off of Rafaela, Kier, and John just now. Having my parents be immigrants, having my mom be an immigrant is what's giving me the drive to even continue to do well my education in the first place. My mom has ringed with a constant reminder that living from paycheck to paycheck is not fun. Even to get here in Newark, we used to live in the projects in New York, and having to live in that situation and living in those circumstances and having to see my mom like cry every night, it really opened my eyes to just how much of an opportunity I've been given and how much I don't want to let her down. So I think that experiencing the process of being an immigrant and having to live through and having to live with my mom and seeing her struggle to give me a better life for me and my siblings, I think that has given me the courage and the perseverance to continue to push on with my studies and to even persevere, because to be completely honest, it's not easy being an immigrant. I feel like everybody's already said this before, but like it's not even just with like, there's the structural issues, there's societal issues, but also just it follows you. Like having a name that's different, it follows you. People not pronouncing it right, or people misspelling it, or just people like mocking you. I can vividly remember back when I think the Ebola virus is like reached word to America. That was a horrible experience for me in like elementary school. Nobody wanted to sit near me. It was rough, and just having to go through that, it's a very demeaning experience, but also I would just remember back to my mom and how much she put in to get me here, and to have other people decide for me that I'm not able to do that stuff just because I am a child of immigrants. I didn't want that to be the reigning case. So I think that my mom has given me the drive to be better for myself.
Let's talk about some cultural stuff before we wrap up. So the difference between your culture at home and the culture here, and the struggle that you have internally with yourself and with your family who is still older from the old culture back home. Just really want to get a little bit into that, the differences and how does it make you feel? And I heard a couple of people talking about teachers who allowed them to delve back into their cultural self, which is important because a lot of times you can lose your culture in this process, right? So just want to talk about how you feel about that and how you overcome that and how you deal with the struggle between, the culture here in America and your back home culture. I remember in the book, the kid from Malaysia was talking about the food and how they had to get used to eating Malaysian food again, and the mother had to teach them how to get used to eating Malaysian food again. So really that space.
I feel like culture and expressing yourself has a lot to do with immigration, especially with older immigrants. They try to Americanize themselves to fit a certain agenda in order to fit into society nowadays, and in order to feel good like themselves, and to go to work every day and be surrounded by people that speak English and that people that don't really understand their background. And they try to Americanize themselves in order to fit that agenda and in order to fit that environment that they work in. And comparing that to how I am as a person in school and outside of school, I feel like I'm much more expressive about who I am and where I come from. and that culture comes in many shapes and sizes and different colors, and it comes from the texture of your hair to the color of your skin. And I think older generation of immigrants just they try to hide that or try to not express that as much as we do, because back then when they first migrated to this country, it was hard for them to fit in. It was hard for our parents to fit into a society that forced them to be different and not be who they actually are, because well, I'm speaking from like Peruvian parents, and from what I realize is that they're loud, you know, they express themselves by being like loud and joyous, and I'm seeing my parents now, it's like they lost that spark that they had back when they were home, and when they are home, it's like they change into this different person that I've never seen before, because when they're around other people, they just they cover themselves up in order to fit into the society around them.
I mean, I talk about this in my story where when my mom went finally back to her country, when she finally got her papers, she told me how her childhood was, and you could compare the two childhoods and see how different it was. As in the book, I even talk about how in Brazil they used to play in the streets, in the middle of the roads where car passed. Like, you don't see that here in America. And another thing, like, they're like always happy. Like, here, I feel like we lose a sense of like, oh, the person next to me is like, could be my friend. Here, we're very much thought on this idea of me, myself, and I, while there, it's more like family, like everyone there is family. And it's like, when you compare the two childhoods, you see how much happier my mom was compared to me. Like, she even says like, oh, like, I went to America to give you a better life, a better future. But like, she never complains about her life and about what she went through to put me there. But I know the struggles she went through. And I could vividly see, like, when she finally got her papers, the fear that went away when she no longer had to worry about going back home to the place she never like wanted to be at in the first place.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think some of the stigmas around immigrants like kind of impacted me now, because when I was younger and when my mom was younger, it was worse for her because she went to school like back in the early 2000s and stuff, and a lot of people had like really bad ideas about Haitians in their mind, like we stink and we eat dogs and we don't wash, and that like followed her into adulthood. A lot of the time when my friends will come over, she won't cook like our traditional food, or she won't speak French or Creole, and she'll just like hold it back. I even heard her like tell her coworkers that no, she's not Caribbean, she's African American, and she'll sit there and lie. And it did impact me for a while because, you know, this is actually a very blessed environment, and I actually didn't start like really talking outwardly about my culture until I came here freshman year, because since I was 5 until I was about 13, I went to school with all American people, and a lot of them said a lot of racist and like prejudiced things about people from the Caribbean, especially Haitians. So I never felt the chance to express that, and I feel like I lost connection with my grandmother, my language, and my culture through that. So I think we should be working to like erase stigmas around different groups of immigrants, because it can be really harmful to, you know, keeping the culture alive and whatnot.
I agree with what she said. I feel like, well, even in my family, like I've seen my family immigrate here, and when it came to like having their kids and raising their kids, they won't even speak Spanish to their children because they want their kids to only speak English. I feel like when you lose your language, you lose like a little bit of your culture, and like growing up, I feel like if they were to just grow, they're already growing up in America, and when you live in America, you go to school and everyone is like speaking English, and at home, you know, you would speak your native language, you would eat your native food, and I've seen it in my family, they don't do that. Like they try to speak to their kids in English when they struggle with English themselves, and they're like slowly like erasing a part of our culture, and it's due to the stigma, and it's due to just the idea that you have to fit in because you're in a new place and in a new environment, and you want your kid to not have to grow up and face the struggle that you had.
I feel like it's very hard to keep the Palestinian culture alive and ongoing, as not only has the land been stolen, but so has the culture and traditions.
Adding on, I feel as though the power of your language and the culture within your family should always be strong, because in a place where we consume American media and we go to school and we learn everything in English, I think it is so important to instill within your children the ability to speak another language. Because not only can you speak to Americans, you can speak to Brazilians, and I speak Portuguese, and I can speak to people that speak Spanish, and I feel like that is so important. And going back to Victoria's aspect of community, I feel like the US does lack that. In Brazil, it's like, oh, you're making a cake. I don't have sugar, let me go to my my neighbor, and she's gonna have sugar and she's gonna give it to you, and I'll hold it accountable. And I feel like in Brazil, like as a child, you're more free. And coming here, my mother was very strict for the fact that she's like kind of lost and doesn't know everything about here. So I was really like put in a cage when I was younger. So I feel like that also impacts like growing up.
For me, it was very different. I wasn't born here. I was born in Africa, Burkina Faso. And I came here when I was
We're out of Africa as a continent, you know. Africa where?
Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso, okay.
So when I came here when I was like 9, so I already knew like a lot about my culture. Like all my clothes I still bought here. I always wore them, and everybody would say it was nice. But then like whenever I came with my culture, we wear henna, and I really like very specifically. I have some of my nails. It's the powder form, but like the first time I came here, I wore henna for the first time, and this is based on my story. Like the teachers saw it and they were like very scared. I didn't know how to speak English at the first time, so I didn't know how to explain to them that it wasn't a disease, and then like they thought it was like something like harmful. Tried to wash it off. They called the nurse and everything, and it was very traumatic and like it was very like scary because I didn't know what to do. Until somebody told them that it was just natural henna and it wasn't harmful. But like yeah, I tried to always hold on to my culture, and I love everything about where I came from. So I always try to like express it through my clothes, my language, my speech, everything. So yeah, it was pretty different for me.
Honestly, coming to the U.S. compared to while being in DR, just like Victoria and Rafaela, back home there's way more freedom. Out here, my parents, whenever I'm outside, they have a constant fear that I might not make it back home while I'm here. Back in DR, I'd be able to go basically anywhere. I could walk to my cousin's house, which could be maybe even 10 miles away. I could just take a walk. I could go absolutely anywhere I want. I could just go take a hike if I wanted to. I could go absolutely anywhere and there wouldn't be a singular problem. But here there's a constant fear that you don't know what's going to happen to you next while you're outside. Because there's so many different dangers with the people here. Even if you just look at somebody like off, they get off on you and they just see you as like a problem. There could be just any issues based on just you walking somewhere. If you're just walking somewhere at the wrong time, wrong place, there could just be a problem that could take your life.
And building off of what everybody's already said before, I think a large part of keeping your culture alive while still in America is by simply assimilating yourself with the people that you know have the same culture as you. I've been very lucky, very blessed to have the opportunity to be around more Nigerian people. I go to church with Nigerian people. I've gone to schools that have predominantly Nigerian populations. And so I feel like being able to have that community around me, knowing that I'm not alone, even though there are those moments where I'm not with Nigerian people and I have to face the fact that they're going to judge me, that they won't know the things that I like. There's also the effort you had to put in to keep that culture alive. A part of this, what I wrote my story about was Milo cubes, which is a Nigerian candy, and I wrote about having to eat those in class by myself to make myself comfortable because I wasn't accustomed to talking to the people that weren't of my culture. I wasn't used to being around people that weren't exactly like me per se, but being able to share those Milo cubes with others and being able to share my experiences and my culture with others has given me the chance to not only keep my culture alive, but also make sure that I haven't lost it or that I snuff it out due to the fears and the stresses of American society.
So let's end on on something a little high beat here, optimistic, just something that you are excited about, looking forward to, now that you are where you are, and something that you can impact even.
Something that I'm excited about is that this book shows the true story of immigrants and why they came to America in the first place. They came here for opportunity, for a chance, to help get a good start for their children. And I feel like this book is gonna bring light into this. I feel like if we keep on pushing this book and pushing these stories that everyone has been sharing, that we could get somewhere to a place where everyone is accepted, that people aren't scared to show their different cultural foods, their candies, their speeches, their languages. And I feel like if we continue pushing this, that everyone can be accepted and that we can become a greater community in the future.
Anybody else excited about something?
I would love to add on to Will. I feel like the book really breaks down stereotypes and shows that we're not people that eat dogs. We don't want to eat your dogs. And adding on, I feel like the book really promotes a sense of community. You can learn about stories from all over the world. You can learn about experience from my name to Candy to more tragic stories. And I feel like the book is really nice and it highlights the realities of being an immigrant, and it humanizes us and it shows the world exactly how it truly is. And I feel like it works to break down the stereotypes in the media.
For me, I'm really excited about the fact that people are now starting to really speak out about the things that's happening in the world, especially with Palestine and the Arab nations and everywhere that's happening. And usually the media would try to hide those stuff and keep it undercover. But I've been seeing now even the news been speaking about how wrong it is, and it's just making me excited that finally things are actually starting to change for the better,
And time back when everybody has already said, or Kia and Rafaela, I'm just excited that we're all here and that we all are determining our futures in America, and that we're able to share our experiences and to make our impact on a country that has a past of bigotry and a past of hatred, and we're able to transform that narrative into something new. So I'm really just happy that, we're all on our path to becoming first-gen students, hopefully, and that we're all able to make an impact on this world in our own ways.
Something that this book made me extremely happy for, an impact that I saw from it was with a teacher that helped me out in the past. I had a Dominican teacher. She was the only person that I felt actually understood me when I came to the U.S. And she saw the book, and that gave us a chance to reunite for a bit, and it helped her because she was regretting teaching in this country. She was regretting absolutely everything, and this book actually helped her be happier that she taught. She was grateful that she was at least able to teach a few students that were just like me and help them accept the life here. Help them not just accept, help them live live a life that wouldn't be felt as just horrible, make them accept that they're not home while also feeling like they are home, since she gave us a lot of opportunities that make us feel like we're just right back at home. For students like me and a best friend of mine, we're both Dominican, she helped us feel like we're right back in DR while we were in her classroom.
I feel like it's really important to highlight that the times we're in right now isn't really favorable, and it's about to sound really corny, so prepare yourselves. But at the end of the day, we are the future. So I really encourage everyone to learn something new, reach out to someone you don't know, learn their culture, because at the end of the day, put yourself in a place that may make you uncomfortable for that time being, but you will learn something, and in the future, you can be a woman in STEM, or a person of color where there wasn't once a person of color, so you're really being a bridge. And we have opportunities that maybe our parents haven't had, which is really important. So educate yourselves, read the book, shameless plug. So yeah.
You want to add? No? You look like you want to say something. No, you good? Positive? All right. Well, I'm going to tell you, I like being here because I get to go to the Palestinian restaurant in Patterson called Al Basha. I get to eat some acheke and pounded yam, and I get to have mofongo and arroz con gandules, right? I get to eat a little ceviche. I even had a little black rice and conch from a nice little place called the First Republic in Elizabeth, a nice Haitian spot in Elizabeth. A friend of mine who owns it, Stan Naran, who is an elected official there, went to Keene University, who has an incredible Haitian restaurant over there. You should check it out. You get a chance to. And sometimes when I'm at a dig, I get a caipirinha now and again. You know what I mean? Nice little drink. You probably shouldn't be drinking that, but yeah, it's very sweet and strong. But I get a chance to experience all of these things here because our community is so diverse, right? And I would admonish you to hold on to your culture. In fact, that's what makes you rich, right? That's what makes you rich. The fact that you can speak multiple languages, that you can converse with people in different spaces around the world, right? That you can travel and talk to people and you can think in different languages is amazing. Because I don't know if, I mean, some of you still dream in your native language or you dream in this language. I know after a while it was a discussion I had with people who were dreaming in Spanish, and then later on their dreams stopped being in Spanish and started being in English, which is weird to me. I've never experienced that before, but obviously I guess that happens at some point. But I want to thank all of you. The book is amazing. It's incredible. I think everybody should read it. And I think hopefully this tape, we can send this, maybe we'll send it to the White House. But at the end of the day, we should send this tape out to folks so they can see what you guys are saying. Very powerful comments and things that you wrote. I appreciate it deeply. I really do. This is our city collectively, right? And I want you to know some of the stories that you talked about sounded like my parents' story, and my family is from South Carolina, right? We via West Africa, but South Carolina. We're from South Carolina, right? Sound the same, the sugar sharing and the salt food sharing and the journeys here. So we all have so much in common. The last thing I want to say is I want you to understand that most people in America are immigrants. So this idea that that these people are immigrants is just a lie. Like if you're not like an Apache or an Arawak or a Navajo or the Choctaw Nation, then somebody in your family came here undocumented. Whether you're Irish or Italian or Jewish or Greek or Latin American, South American, African, Caribbean, we came from somewhere or off of a plantation. We all came here undocumented, right? All of us. All of us. My father used to say, when people say, you need to go back where you came from, he taught me to reply, then the airports would be very crowded. Because that means that, we'd all be in there, right? So just wanted to give you all that word of encouragement, man. I appreciate you. You made my day today. Probably have some rough stuff to do today, but I'm going to think about this conversation so it'll enlighten me and help me out for the rest of the day. I thank you all, and I thank this incredible audience.
Let's give them all a round of applause. I just want to ask Principal Gerhard, Sean Adler, and some people from my team to come up. I just want to say thank you again. This was a great read. We read it cover to cover, and it was absolutely fabulous. And I'm excited that this is part of the curriculum. But I also want to thank a couple of people. These young ladies work really hard, and sometimes you don't see them up front. But I just want to say that I would be remiss if I didn't thank the education office, and I know they can speak for themselves, but I'm just going to introduce them. This is Aaliyah Kearney, and this is Lucy Garcia Brown. Let's give them a round of applause. They work really hard. And Principal Gerhard, we're in your house, so I just want to say, do you want to say something?
I'm ready to dismiss the kids, so.
Okay, so she said something, right? So I just want to encourage all of you that Mayor Ras Baraka is really excited about the young people in Newark. And while we showcase these young people up here, I know that there's riches of talents also in you. So we look forward to hearing and seeing what you're doing with yourself. And just remember, you're always representing your own culture, your own country, your own parents. You're representing Newark. And we're just so proud to be here. We all were born, a lot of us were born and raised in Newark, and so we're excited. I went to Weequahic High School, but University and Central High School. So we are Newark bred, and we're so proud to be here, and you guys represent the greatness. And so we just wanted to close to that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I wanted to thank the mayor for helping us, for coming to Science Park and speaking to us and answering and talking to us about a book. And I really like to thank him for reading and everybody else who read it. Also, I want to tell anybody out there who's an immigrant that you should always never ever give up. That there's always a better thing that's coming forwards, and to always strive for a better life. No matter how much you struggle, no matter how much people push you down, to never ever stand down, to always get up afterwards. You might have some bad days, but you should always stand back up and then look forward, because there is a better times coming forward. So yeah.
The whole purpose of this book was so that we could tell our stories. I mean, if we didn't tell our stories, who was going to? And I just want people to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I vividly saw the fear of my mom go away when she got her papers, and I just want people to know that it can get better. Even though the situations right now aren't the best, it's gonna get better, and that it's not gonna last forever.